Welcome to another edition of ALN Thursday at 3. We're closing out 2025 with a really special program featuring Nicholas Johnson, who's going to do a speed dating version of a workshop, a web workshop that Kahua did with 10 programs. And we'll be talking about other things too. But before we get started with Nicholas, I'd like to thank our ALN patron members, Jacobs, Mantech, Onuma, ABS Quality Evaluations, and CGI, and all of our organizational members, especially Kahua, who has been very contributive this year. So thank you, Nicholas, and everyone at um, Kahua. And so I was so impressed with the innovation of your web workshop that had breakout sessions. It was an afternoon of programs and it was very comprehensive. It didn't just focus on Kahua, it had information from many contributors, and uh, it, it demonstrates leadership in educating the industry and really appreciate it. And thank you for coming to tell us about it and give us a little overview of all of that.
Thank you, Mike. You couldn't have given us a better compliment. I really appreciate it.
Well, where are you today? You travel all over all the time. It's hard to
As
keep
it's
up with.
1 week from the holiday, I actually find myself at home in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Oh, very nice,
You
very
could ask me that question 100 times next year. 98 of them I will not be here.
nice. Well, I'm glad you're home for the holidays,
Thank you.
and this is a great way to end the year because it gives an overview of the types of things that the Asset Leadership Network provides to members and interested folks. And can you tell us a little bit about the idea for the workshop and what you wanted to do and how did you come up with the innovative approach?
Well, yeah, I'd love to. And it was there was a genesis certainly, and that would probably be our own Enabling Innovation Conference that we hold every year. We bring in our partner community, which is exhaustive now. We bring in our clients, and we have 3 days of conference wrapped around with some other opportunities in the first and fifth day. And there, people can learn everything about what's going on with project controls, everything that's going on specifically with Kahua. They can sharpen their skills, they can exchange ideas with one another. It's a wonderful event, but like any event, there's just a lot of folks that can't get there. Anytime we do something in October, we're going to be conflicting with a lot of other conferences as well. And of course, this year and the last 2 years, really, our federal friends have had such a hard time traveling for anything outside of their own district, if they could travel at all. So if folks were allowed to, some of those chose not to because it increased their visibility in a really tense time. So we felt like we had to find a way to bring the conference to them. We've done that with some what I'll call road shows. We host every year, as you know, Mike, the Federal Construction Forum. It's a day-long event that we do in DC, and it's been so well received by the federal community that we decided last year we needed to take that on the road. And we hosted the Canadian Construction Forum in Toronto. And that was so well received, we hosted the Sacramento Construction Forum or the California Construction Forum in Sacramento. Our clients and our partner community just can't get enough of it. We can't be gone somewhere every week. So we decided we would try to bring a conference to them, if you will. As you said, Mike, this is very little about trying to sell Kahua. Don't get me wrong. We want to sell Kahua. We believe we have the best product in the world for project controls, and we think everybody should use it. But this event was bigger than that. It was about being a leader in our community. It was about stepping out from our own needs and trying to address some things that our industry needs. Because if we make our industry better, we make our own lives better. I've said a million times, and you and I have talked about this. We're builders, right? Well, we're construction folks. We're software folks that help construction folks. But what we do in my industry is build. Whether I'm the owner or the contractor, we build stuff. Nobody has ever built anything because they wanted to live in a worse place. So we're always building to make the world a better place. What we do is really important. And if Kahua, as just one vendor in a million vendors, if we can do something to help improve our industry, that's the position we want to take. Continuous improvement, not just for ourselves, but for our industry as well. So it was fun coming to this. It was really kind of fun building up to this conclusion that we needed to do this, and then coursing out an afternoon that we thought could be helpful for folks.
Okay, and before I show the website where people can access it, I put the link up. I want to build on what you're saying about building and building things better. And we're coming to an age in humanity with tools and processes that are going to allow us to build in ways we haven't before. And people are complaining that AI is costing jobs. Well, that's like saying we shouldn't have fire because it's going to burn down Chicago.
Right.
We've got to use the tools to build better. And I think by showing how to build a better building industry community, we can actually show how to build a better world. And I think our industry touches every corner of the world in a way that allows us to make that leap from, this is the way I say it. We can do clash detection on a house. Everyone knows what a house is, and you don't want their mechanical, electrical, and mechanical systems to clash. So we do it virtually first, and then we're able to do it. Well, you can click and drag that to the size of the House of Representatives, and we can do political, economic, and social clash detections before we start doing
Yeah.
things. And it's through the analogy to the building industry that we can build a better society. It's no accident that Thomas Jefferson was an architect. And
Amen to that. And I think I really appreciate this symbiotic relationship that Kahua has with the ALN. We're so happy to be part of this network and trying to help lead because effectively ALN represents the operator. You know, I always say we're project people. We want to get a project done and move on to the next one because it's coming like a freight train. But we understand that a project is just a microsecond in the life of an owner's assets. And so we've tried to do projects in a way that facilitates better operations as well. Because what good is it if I build a wonderful new facility and I can't operate it properly?
yes,
So that's our approach. It was really interesting, Mike, that we had some ideas about what might come from this, but one message that cut across every session, if I could tell you there was one thing, it was this, that the future of construction is not about chasing trends. It's about making better decisions earlier and with clearer intent.
yes.
And how much more important could that be to the operator when we talk about making better decisions
Yeah.
earlier with clearer intent? It
And the
really
Ash,
speaks to the operator.
yeah, and the asset management governance approach requires us to spell out our measurable benefits so that we can prove that it is better.
We covered a number of things. We covered innovation. We had a session on sustainability. We had a session on mental health, on risk, on economics, data, on cybersecurity, even on career development, and of course, everybody's favorite topic this year on AI. But taken together, they all tell a much more cohesive story about where our industry is headed. And that's what we want to kind of lead into, pull some of those threads together in the next few minutes with this audience and just kind of talk about what we learned that day.
Yeah, and you package it really good for people to be able to access. The link is there, and I just wanted people to see the comprehensive nature of the program.
Beautiful. Yeah, we've got a good team that put that together as soon as they could right after the event. So
Excellent.
I'll start, if it's all right, Mike. I'll kind of
Please.
walk through some of the sessions. They're not necessarily in the order that they're on that page. For example, if you bring it up, Anirbar Basu is everybody's favorite economist in construction. He was actually our last event of the day. He was the headliner, if you will, the keynote. But we started the day with an equally impressive orator, and that was Steve Jones of Dodge Data. And Steve talked to us. It's that third session on becoming data-centric owners. And it was really cool because he took the knowledge and the experience and the work that they do at Dodge,
Hmm.
always gathering information from our industry about how to make projects more effective and how to make operations more effective. Steve validated a lot of what Kahua has been preaching, if you will, for the last few years. I heard him say the things that I expected him to say, that we collect an enormous amount of data in this industry and we use very little of it. But it is that data that is key to our success going forward. One thing that he said that kind of struck a nerve to me. He said, having data isn't the same thing as trusting data. Thought, absolutely true. So the most successful owners aren't just collecting information, they're restructuring it, they're measuring it, and they're letting it inform their strategy. That's got to be the mindset going forward. What we do is share information. There's a little bit of building and there's a lot of information sharing on a project. We've got to do a better job of moving that data from one party to the next and being able to capture it in a useful way.
Excellent. So, Nicholas, we try to keep this to 30 minutes, but we're taking the time limits off. So I don't want you to rush. If there's anything you feel comfortable, want to expand upon, if people have to leave at the bottom of the hour, we understand, but let's
No,
let
we'll
Nicholas.
we'll we'll get them through in 30 minutes because the best thing we can do is encourage people to watch one of these sessions. So if I can just give you the least little teaser and encourage you to go watch it on YouTube at your own leisure, then we've done a good job. So
And a secret technique is if you just press your cursor, it goes on YouTube at 2 times speed, and it really you can still hear and understand everything, but you get through a 25-minute program in 12 and a half minutes. So that's my secret.
it reminds me when my daughter was in med school and would be reading a book and listening to a lecture at 2.5 times speed all at the same time. Different lecture from the book. So she's trying to, and she'd listen to them over and over and over again so that hopefully it would just be ingrained in her. But
Oh
yeah,
wow.
pretty crazy. Okay, we had a session. The industry runs on people. It was about building mental health into construction. Um, and that was kind of the theme of it. Our business is about people more than anything else. Um,
Where am I? I'm not. Who is the person? I'm not seeing.
Rob McKinney and AJ were having that conversation.
Well, I'm not seeing that. Oh, there. I don't know if let's stop that. I'm not. It's going to confuse me to try to find the sessions. We'll just let you speak to them.
Yeah, and again, they're all listed there. People can go read the kind of the abstract for each one and decide what is most meaningful for them. One of the things that really cut from that presentation, that conversation, and again, this is not about Kahua. This is about making our industry a better place. I don't know if this audience would be aware, but construction is the industry that has the highest rate of suicide. Perfectly preventable.
That
Our
is
biggest problem is perfectly preventable.
wow.
One insight that I heard here, though, is that I appreciated it. Construction leaders, back to that conversation we had earlier about leadership, construction leaders already do mental health interventions. They just don't call them that. It's that job site superintendent that walks around and checks on his guys every morning. Or it's the project manager that does the same thing and calls people in, or the executive who makes phone calls to see, are you doing okay? How are things at the job site? Because think about it, this is an industry where people go work 6 10s, 6 12s, sometimes more. They're
Yeah.
away from home. It's hard work. It's pressure packed, and we've got to do a better job of taking care of our folks. So it was a great conversation about knowing your crew and knowing when someone feels off. If you don't know your crew, you can't know if they're off. So really appreciate Rob McKinney being part of that as well. We did do a session on AI as a multiplier, not as a replacement. Okay. You said it earlier. People are concerned AI is going to cause us, we're going to lose our jobs. It's just not going to be the case. It's certainly not in construction. It's not going to be the case. Are there some manual tasks that AI will do for us? Yes, thank you. There are, and we'll all be glad about that because we can get more done. more productive work done. This went back to the same conversation, though. Two things kind of stood out in this one. AI is only as good as the data that I give it. And there's a new term, Mike. You've probably heard it. I'm sure the audience has heard it. It's we keep saying the human in the loop when we talk about AI.
Oh,
You've got to have the human in the loop. Well, we believe that to be true, but the conversation turned a little different way. Hugh Seaton was one of our AI experts. He's I would say, the leading evangelist for AI in the construction space. And Hugh said it can't just be in the loop. Or what he meant was, what he said was, when we say human in the loop, it can't just mean at the end. The
ah,
human has to be involved in the process all along, not just a final check at the end when everything is effectively done and we are just way too inclined to click the button and move on.
right.
So I thought that was really good insight. We had a session on risk. The goal of risk is not optimism, it's confidence. You know,
Mm.
we don't we have to again use our data and reframe this not as a technical discipline, but as a communication discipline. Um, Otherwise, we're going to be like the common salesman who is optimistic about hitting his quota. That optimism is not a good strategy. Okay.
No,
We don't
no.
want you to be optimistic. We want you to be confident. So instead of hiding risk in spreadsheets, the call was to bring it to normal project conversations. Ask simple questions, make ownership clear. Because we heard plainly, if no one owns the risk owns the project.
Can I make one comment on that about the
Absolutely.
confidence? Something that I've come to realize this year is that the asset leadership network no longer needs to have the courage of our convictions. We did that for years. We now have the confidence of our convictions.
The next session I'll talk about, Mike, was the one I'll say it was my favorite because I was involved in it's our favorite conversation. We did do a session on asset data handoff. And for the audience, if you haven't heard about Kahua this year, we've developed a methodology we refer to as asset centric project management. It is not specifically software, it's a method where as I plan and design and procure and construct and commission, I can simply tag asset information along the way so that at the end of a project, it is ready to be handed over to an asset system, a CMMS system, an enterprise asset management system. And I was really happy this time to have Andy Jackson from IBM on. We've recently completed an integration to IBM's Maximo product, a favorite among federal audiences, a favorite
Yes.
among a lot of different audiences. Actually, it's probably the biggest player in the market.
Yes.
We're happy to have that done, because that makes this process um, so transparent and so efficient and instant because that integration allows for us to push data over as it is designed, as it is procured. Our customers may choose not to. They may choose to wait to do it at 90% or at the end of a project. But what they won't have to do is put 100,000 PDFs on a thumb drive and give it to the owner to throw away.
Congratulations and thank you for completing that connection with IBM. That is so needed.
It's not the only product that we've done integrations with, and we will do more. There is no limit to what we can integrate with. The idea is always going to be push it directly from the construction team into the operations team. There really shouldn't be much of a handoff. It should be an automatic process. Nearly all project data is created, but almost all of it today is not operationalized. And we want the message to be clear. Asset data handover is not about documentation. It's risk management. It's financial protection. It's operational continuity. So that was a fun conversation, and to have Andy from IBM on there really made it special for me. So,
Excellent.
um, we had a session where we talked about the need to stop solving the wrong problems. And it was a conversation about what contractors want versus what venture capitalists fund. It was a cool session on how innovation comes about. And I would certainly advise folks if they're interested in the business of construction and the business of construction tech, then go listen to this. One of the things that really stuck out to me was we talked about if you want to know what the industry really needs, don't look at pitch decks, but look at earning calls.
Oh,
Look at what's driving the business. By analyzing what large firms talk about when real money's on the line, we saw clear signals around procurement risk, around infrastructure delivery, around AI enablement, which is
mhm.
obviously a very important topic to a company like ours. We saw the same risk around supply chain volatility. The opportunity here isn't just for startups, it's for owners and builders to demand solutions that reflect lived reality, not hype. So,
Well, that's a good opportunity to pitch a program that we're going to be having next year, which is about template specifications and RFPs for owners to follow so that they know what to ask for. But so people can look forward to 2026 for something we'll be doing on that.
yeah, look forward to that. Mike's referring to what we like to call the asset centric playbook. And it's a specification, it's an addendum to a contract in design and construction that lets the owner clearly indicate what data they need, what documents they need, and what format they need it in, and then allows the design construction team to deliver that in a way that's very useful. It should be noted, we're delivering that information today, and it is a contractual obligation today. We just deliver it in a way that is not at all useful. So owner operators, and it was something that Andy really highlighted and validated that his clients generally have to start when they buy Maximo for their first facility. They have to build a database from scratch, even if it's a brand new facility and they just put it all into place. They have to start, and that might take months or even years to get that
Yes.
thing working correctly.
And your integration is dramatically reducing that.
Yeah, it
Yes.
makes it effectively makes it instant. Is there some work up front? Absolutely. We have to set up the project team, again, designers and constructors. We have to set them up to do this the way the owner wants the data collected. But
Right.
that's the easy part. It's a little bit of administrative work before project people ever see it, actually. So I'll move on. We did another one. Whether it was solar panels or certifications, people wanted to ask a lot more hard questions about sustainability. Um, this was this was really enlightening to me. I've been in this industry for well over 45 years now.
Okay.
And what I heard, the best question I heard, can we avoid building at all? That
Yes.
was the sustainability question.
Yes.
Do we have to build this particular thing? It reframed the whole conversation.
Yes.
Um, the impact around scope and reuse and scale, those decisions should be happening long before sustainability labels ever appear.
Yeah.
I heard, I really like this quote: "The most sustainable building is often the one that you didn't build."
Yes.
So again, another fun topic. Hard hats and blueprints for growth. This session reminded us that growth isn't linear. Careers evolve through curiosity, resilience, and relationships. Reminded me a bit of my own journey. I didn't take a traditional route into being a technologist evangelist. I started as a drafter because I started as a drafter, moved into design engineering, moved into software management at a design firm, and met these guys that had started a company in Alpharetta, Georgia. It was called Constructware, and they were doing construction management. My company was using their product, and I thought it was the coolest thing that ever had been created. So 6 months later, I went to work for them. That got me to the construction side of our business 25 years ago now. So this was a cool session too. A line worth repeating: your career doesn't need a perfect plan; it needs a strong foundation. So there was talk about the trades. I've said for several years, I would encourage a lot of young people. Trades are where they should be going. You don't necessarily need to go to business school. There's a commercial that I hear now. AI is going to do this and that for you, but it's not going to replace the pipe in your front yard. And I love that. And I know so many folks that have started as a tradesperson, and then left the company that first hired them to start their own small company and now have their own large company. So great route. Doesn't have to be the traditional go to college and start a business afterwards or go to college and work for a large business. You don't have to do that. Kahua would not do a whole day of conversations without talking about cybersecurity and the risk that it brings into construction. So we had a session on cybersecurity, had experts come in, and effectively the conversation was this, Mike, that cybersecurity is not so much an IT issue as it is a project risk. With multiple partners and devices and data exchanged, construction's become a prime target. And one of the things we were reminded is that most cyber incidents don't start with hackers. They start with humans. It starts with somebody in your organization or someone that is attached to your organization clicking the wrong link. It starts with not the owner of construction, not the operator, but it starts with a subcontractor that's doing cleaning for them or that did part of their construction project.
Yeah.
Training, access control, vendor accountability are no longer optional. They're part of doing business. So it brings us back to kind of the whole backbone of this conversation, data maturity. So keep your data secure. And then our last session was Anandbar Basu from Baltimore economist, a brilliant guy, and I think everybody in construction's favorite economist. Anandbar loves to give his presentation with a comedic flair, if you will. So I've seen him several times where he had a James Bond theme to his presentation. This one was monetary masala. It was really fun to listen to him. He gives you so much information, but does it in a way that really helps you understand ramifications of what we will see next. Couple memorable moments. He said, uncertainty doesn't stop construction. It just punishes bad assumptions.
Ooh,
Thought that was really bright, really
yeah.
brilliant, actually. That's how we wrap the day up, with an understanding of economic environment that hopefully allowed our audience to plan, communicate, and prioritize with credibility instead of just reacting to the headlines that they see. It was a great day. There was one overriding theme, and it was, data. Um, it's all about how we collect data, how we make sure we collect it in a way that makes it accurate and clean. As I said earlier, it's not about do you have the data, it's do you trust the data. So that was our build forward day. Um, I would say the future of construction belongs to those who make intentional decisions early. Um, Center people alongside the tech and treat data like it's a strategic asset and not a byproduct. That's how we will build forward.
That is excellent. And you came in on time. So that's amazing that you did such a thorough summary in a half hour. But if you're able to stick around, there's some comments that I think worth attention. Amir said that he used Constructware as a field engineer
Excellent.
at Clark Construction, and he
He's
thanks you.
aging himself.
He thanks you for bringing back good memories. That he
Excellent.
enjoyed it that much too.
Well, I'm going to put my email address in the chat. If anyone wants to reach out to me later today, tomorrow, anytime in the future, I'm not a Kahua salesperson. That is not what I do. I will absolutely help you any way I can if you'd like to learn more about our asset-centric project management methodology and how we handle asset data during design and construction. But more so, if you want to learn more about anything that you see in Build Forward, we're happy to get you in touch with the speakers if you like. Just let us know how we can help. This is why we did this event, to help our industry be better.
I recommend everybody take Nicholas up on that and copy his email address and connect with him. I've known him for a little over a year now, and he's very quickly become a very good buddy. And I can't get enough of our conversations. And let's continue it a little further. Jennifer is talking about the historic preservation community relative to the sustainability comment that the greenest building is the one that's already built.
Yes,
And that highlights the reusing of existing structures for new purposes and avoids massive environmental impact of new construction.
I
I
could
think
not
that's
agree more, Jennifer. It's always perhaps it's just a personal preference, but I love seeing restoration and renovation, reuse instead of, tearing something down. I grew up in a place where there was nothing old. So Atlanta, Georgia, um, there was a war that came through and they burned the city down, and there was just really nothing that was ancient. Like if you go to Boston and you can live in a house that was 300 years old. If you
Right.
like my cousins in Dublin lived in a house that was 800 years old. I grew up in Georgia, and the oldest house I ever saw was 50 years old.
Yeah.
So I just have such an appreciation for it. Maybe it's every I don't know about every engineer thinks about being an architect at some point,
Yeah.
and I always just have a great appreciation for the reuse, and I wish we could
There's,
do more of it. I wish we did do more of it because
I
we
think
can do more of it.
reuse forces innovative thinking, and people appreciate that innovation and seeing something that's, oh, that was a hospital, now it's condos.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's a good thing for the human psyche. One of the things that we had talked about in preparation for this is getting a cognitive behavioral therapist involved in this, because it's not the it's not the tools, those work. Plenty of examples. The business processes work. We got plenty of good examples there. It's the human behavior
yeah.
aspect. And I love that your workshop had the human behavior issue and addressed things like suicide in the construction industry. That we can make that part of 2026 initiatives.
It's important. It's the most important thing.
Well, boy, this time has flown, and once again, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So you're the perfect cherry on the top of a year of ALN Thursday at 3, because the next two Thursdays are Christmas and New Year's.
Well,
So,
thanks, Mike. Very kind of you to say, and I'm so happy to be here.
well, and we want to thank our audience. There's so many of you who come back on a regular basis. It really uh, means a lot to us to see familiar faces and serve a consistent community. So we wish you all happy holidays, and if you celebrate Merry Christmas, then Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you in the first Thursday of 2026. And I hope
Bye,
it's
everyone. Merry Christmas.
a great year for everyone. Bye for now.